Yeah, so the fuel industry is a very unpredictable industry. You cannot really make future predictions.
Fuel prices, how it affects us, some of the questions that we have arising from that. And this morning, we're looking at, consumer motorists, the announcement by the Ministry of Mines and Energy that fuel prices for both petrol and diesel will remain unchanged for the month of April. And in studio to elaborate more is from the Ministry of Mines and Energy, Petroleum Economist, Abednego Ekandjo. Sir, how are you?
Fine.
So let's definitely getting into it, because I know a lot of us have been relieved at the current economic environment that we're getting a little bit of a relief, following the announcement by the ministry to keep fuel prices unchanged. But what can we expect to continue, the month of May, or should we expect a change depending on global activity? What does this really mean?
Yeah, so the fuel industry is a very unpredictable industry. You cannot really make future predictions. That's why we have oil traders in the global fuel market, whose job is actually to try and hedge some of that risk that you are talking about. So if you are talking about May, which is a month or so from now, it's a bit far. So you never know what will happen in the global fuel market. Anything can happen. OPEC can decide to increase production. They can decide to cut production. Anything can happen. China can decide to go back down in lockdown.
Oof.
So all those factors,
the variables.
Many variables. So all those factors can play a role. So, but obviously, as a ministry, we expect prices to drop.
Okay.
So the consumers can enjoy cheaper prices.
Oh, that's where thereby enjoyment is where we definitely need to be. Exactly. I also know that the ministry mentioned that recent trade flows of petroleum products from the international oil markets to Namibia have shown that there are 2 diesel types that are landing in Namibia, requesting also the oil industry to ensure that consumers are sold the right products under the correct branding. What does this mean? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so what we have seen is there are 2 diesel types landing in Namibia. The one is 10 ppm, the other is 50 ppm. So the 10 ppm is the ULSD, ultra low sulfur diesel.
Okay.
So the sulfur content in that diesel is very low.
Okay.
At 10 particles per million. The ppm stands for particles per million of the sulfur content. And of the 50, it's now 50 particles per million of sulfur. So they are both clean products, but the 10 ppm is much more cleaner. So currently in Namibia, we are only pricing the 50 ppm. But what we have seen in the trade flows is that 10 ppm is also landing at the port of Walvisbay. That's why a resolution was taken to also start pricing the 10 ppm. And it will be published in the government gazette. The prices of 10 ppm will be published in the government gazette effective from tomorrow.
Now, it's really a lot of technical jargon, but what does that mean for my car? Can I take the 10 ppm or can I take the, because you said they are both clean. So in terms of the cars, what does this actually mean?
Yeah, so basically, cars that drive on diesel will be able to use both.
Okay.
But what we advise motorists is to talk to your car manufacturer.
All right.
Or read the book that comes with your
the car. Okay.
Yeah, so under specs, fuel specs, and standards, if you look in that book or you talk to your car, it will even be available online. If you have a certain diesel car and you Google the specs, the fuel specs that your car is supposed to use, you might be surprised that manufacturers are actually recommending that you use 10 ppm.
I see.
But then it will still run on 50 ppm.
Okay. Is the ministry still experiencing continued illegal fuel imports from Angola, and how is it curbing that, if so?
Yeah, the issue is still prevalent of illegal fuel. Recently, we have heard in the media that the police has now deployed the Special Reserve Force, if I'm not mistaken, to try and deal with that issue. So it's a policing matter, although the ministry also has a supportive role to play, since we administering the Petroleum Act. Yeah, but it's an issue which is there. So it's a policing matter, and I believe the police are doing their best to curb it.
I know earlier on you mentioned that, future predictions when it comes to oil is very hard in terms of a lot of variables, but what can we expect in terms of improvement in the oil market moving forward?
Yeah, the only improvements that we can expect is when OPEC increases production.
Okay.
Then it means you don't have a scarcity problem. It is usually the scarcity problem which
hikes up the price.
Yes. So if you were to find that OPEC is increasing oil production, that will really help consumers.
Did they say though? Did they give us a hint? We hope.
Yeah, recently OPEC is cutting production.
Yeah.
So that's now the situation we find ourselves in.
So how can motorists better prepare themselves? I know right now we have a little bit of relief, but in the coming months, if it turns around and it goes the other way, what advice would you give us?
I mean, it's an issue of prioritizing.
Yeah.
Salaries are under a lot of pressure right now. Interest rates are going up. Everything, the costs of goods and services are going up. So you need to prioritize. Do you take that vacation to Swakopmund or you cut back on some of those costs? So you need to prioritize as a consumer.
Indeed. Any final words, Abed, before I let you go?
Yeah, so from the ministry side, obviously, we understand the cries of consumers when it comes to fuel prices. But we always try to do our best to offer relief to consumers. For example, last year, if you remember, some levies were reduced, like the RFA levy, MVA levy, etc., just to offer relief. So those are some of the interventions that government tries to make to relieve the consumer.
And we're hoping that some of those, the future-wise, the relief will also still come.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Thank you so much for coming, Abed. Highly appreciated. And if there's any more changes, we'll be happy to have you back.
No problem. Thank you.
From the Ministry of Mines and Energy, Petroleum Economist Abednego Ekandjo on Sibo and Mo in the morning.